Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another one of my Warhammer 2 tournament videos. Apologies that it has been so long since my last upload in this tournament, but I was stuck for a bit due to the game going through several updates, which in turn ruined all of the replays I had saved of the tournament. Thankfully, I was able to get a previous version of the game, and everything does seem to be back on track. However, for those of you who did take part in the tournament and are watching your replays, if you see a few things that didn't happen during your gameplay, but it is present in the replay, just know that that is due to the game updating, and there's nothing I can really do about it. But I have watched a couple of replays, and the results are as I would expect them to be, so I think we should be just fine. So let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. I believe we saw Tattoos and Welding and Tundra Fox emerge as victors for their rounds, so now it is time to take a look at GAMLING versus BRUMAK. Welcome to the first battle between GAMLING and BRUMAK, and GAMLING was the one who sent in all of the replays, so we're going to be taking a look at it from his perspective. He is down here in the bottom right hand side playing as Clan Moors, and then we have BRUMAK up here playing as the Empire. So let's take a look at what GAMLING has brought first off. In the front lines, he's got 4 units of the Skaven Slave Spears. I think they're there as the meat shield just to push for that hill, and it doesn't really matter if they get charged or destroyed. Following that up, he's got a few units of Clan Rats, I believe 4 units of them, and he has 1 unit of Clan Rat Spears with shields. He's got 2 of the Rat Ogres hidden in the trees on his right-hand flank, but he does have some pretty solid units as well. He's got the Storm Vermin with shields here. We've got some Plague Monks, some Plague Monk Center Bearers. We've got some more Clan Rats with shields here in reserve, some Warp Fire Throwers, a Hell Pit Abomination, and then his general is a Great Seer of Plague, and I believe he's on one of the bells. So very solid force, but very intent on pushing for that hill. Up here, taking a look at BRUMAK, he has a line of swordsmen. In the front lines, he's got 2 units of the handgunners and 2 units of spearmen, 1 on either flank, and he's actually got 4 units of Empire Knights here. So he should be able to do quite a lot of damage to the Rats because they do not have a lot of cavalry. In fact, the only 2 units that could really lock these down in melee would be those 2 units of Rat Ogres. He also has Boris Todbringer here, and it looks like he is on a mount, like a Great Eagle. And he's got a Celestial Wizard, but that's not all that he has. You can see over in the left-hand side, he's actually got 2 units of Outriders with grenade launchers and 2 units of Pistoliers. So we'll see how that is handled by BRUMAK and his flank once he inevitably pushes for that hill. But let's go ahead and get to the battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see, GAMLING is using his Skaven Slave Spears to capture that hilltop. We have Boris Todbringer right overhead, and we have the Empire Warriors moving forwards as well to challenge these Skaven Slaves in melee. Now, the Skaven Slaves are not going to last a very long in this engagement, and there we go! A huge blow to those Skaven Slave Spears, which will surely get them to rout. However, GAMLING is moving his Plague Monk Sensiberries in to fill that gap as well. But yes, those Skaven Slave Spears, as we expected, have broken very quickly. Now over here, it looks like the Spearmen are having a bit of a tougher time just because of the sheer numbers of Skaven Slave Spears and the fact that they are a bit surrounded. But some swordsmen have been pushed in to help him out on that flank. Now, speaking of flanks, I don't think GAMLING is even remotely aware of all of these missile units over on his flank. The Pistoliers are surely going to start focusing down that Hell Pit Abomination and the General, and these Warp Fire Throwers would be a perfect target for those Outriders with grenade launchers. And this is a huge problem for GAMLING, almost completely surrounded at this point, as you can see. We've got the Empire over here with his cav kind of pushing in on this flank. He's surrounded over on his left flank. He only has access to retreat in the far rear. He did put down a Storm Vermin with halberds there to defend, which is great, but that's a very slow unit. It's not going to be able to catch those Pistoliers and the Outriders with grenade launchers. We've got some Storm Vermin with shields actually fighting the Spearmen here. This is probably a battle that the Storm Vermin will be able to win, but not if those Outriders with grenade launchers are firing into their backs. And of course, we do have some Empire Knights here just holding in reserve. If you look over here, we actually have the Empire Knights and the Rat Ogres going toe-to-toe, but the Rat Ogre is getting the worst end of that deal. We do have a unit of Clan Rats trying to push in to save the Rat Ogres and turn the tide in their favor, but I still don't think that is going to work. We do have a third unit of Empire Knights that has returned from routing, but I don't think BRUMAK has quite noticed that yet. We do have Boris Todbringer here fighting a unit of Clan Rats. He should be able to destroy that unit without much trouble at all. But yeah, look at this. The poor Storm Vermin just being annihilated there. And that was probably the timer for the spell. So those weren't all killed by the Pistoliers, but they were definitely getting destroyed. And the Pistoliers are still very healthy. And this is what I was talking about here. You can see the Pistoliers actually firing into the backs of the very elite Storm Vermin Sword and Shields, and that was the grenade launchers going off as well, really depleting that unit, which is very unfortunate to see if you are rooting for the Skaven. We have the Hell Pit Abomination over here, though, that is destroying BRUMAK's swordsman here on the top of the hill. We've also routed those handgunners, which is very good, because the handgunners are lethal to single entity units like the Hell Pit Abomination. We've got the Celestial Wizard, it looks like, engaged in melee. He is wavering as well, so that's not ideal. BRUMAK probably wanting to save him for later so he could use a couple more spells, but again, with those Outriders with grenade launchers just firing in, shattering those Clan Rats. We also probably had a pretty solid charge from those Empire Knights, making sure to break them from the battlefield. The only thing standing on top of the hill of worry is that Hell Pit Abomination. We do have the Storm Vermin with Sword and Shields that have returned from routing, and possibly these Spears as well. I don't know if they are aware of those two. Now, the Empire Knights, they are really doing a good job at kind of holding the flank here. They formed up once again. We've got the Clan Rats and the Clan Rats with Spears and Shields that have returned from routing. That was a huge charge from all of those Empire Knights. Wow. Even depleted units like this of cavalry still pack such a punch. And of course, Boris Todbringer here is very healthy indeed. The Rat Ogres have returned from routing, which is good to see. And have they moved forwards, these two units? Yes, it looks like they are actually engaging each other in melee there. The Spearman will probably end up losing that, but where is the Plague Seer? He is over here, actually. This is not good for GAMLING. This Grey Seer is not going to be able to catch the Pistoliers. They're just going to be able to fire down at him from afar, especially the grenade launchers as well, probably doing a good amount of damage. Although I would probably use the grenade launchers on the larger entity units, because they have a good splash damage effect, and save the Pistoliers for that general. Look at his health just going down so quickly. Looks like GAMLING is trying to rally his forces around his general, but the Empire Knights are just doing so much damage. Another good charge into those Clan Rats, just running them over. That is insane. The balance of power is still very even, but I'd say almost in favor of BRUMAK at this point. Or apologies, of GAMLING and his, yeah, he's got 900 men versus only 300 from Boris Todbringer's force here, BRUMAK's force. So numbers may actually win in this engagement. It's really hard to say. Yeah, Clan Rats being run down. We do have the Hell Pit Abomination actually challenging Boris Todbringer here in melee. He is going to try and take flight and get out of there. We've got some of the Outriders with grenade launchers finally getting hit by those warp fire throwers. I think he is microwing in another area of the battlefield at this point and doesn't notice that his Outriders and Pistoliers are being hit. There we go, finally pulling them away. Yeah, he's moved all of his cavalry now. Unfortunately, that Outriders with grenade launcher probably will not return to the battlefield. Well done again to these Empire Knights, but they are just so depleted at this point. I'm not seeing how much more damage they're going to be able to do, and yes, the balance of power is starting to really move into GAMLING's favor. 950 versus 240. I don't think that Boris Todbringer is going to be able to take down 1,000 rats. And what do we have? Outriders with grenade launchers probably firing down on the Skaven slaves. They do have some ammunition left. Yes, there they go. Well done. They have broken from the battlefield, though. GAMLING does have a unit of clan rats with spears that is kind of sitting in the trees. And there we go. The Grey Seer firing through those Outriders and Pistoliers, trying to catch them. But unfortunately, they are much too fast. We've also got the Helping Abomination slamming into the back of the Pistoliers here. But yeah, these two units are being collected, which is excellent. We've also got the Storm Vermin running down that unit. Now it should be able to return to the battlefield. Still very close, though. These Empire Knights are really doing work against these clan rats. The trouble with the clan rats, though, is that they just break and return constantly. We've also got the handgunners here still very much alive on BRUMAK's side. And those Outriders as well, doing so much damage. The Plague Monks, they are soaking up that damage, but then as soon as they get close, the Outriders just run away, and they actually get a very decisive charge into the back of those clan rats with spears. So let's kind of take a full overview of the battle here. So we do have quite a few units of Skaven still left. We've got some Skaven slave spears, the General, the Helping Abomination. We've got a couple units of clan rats over here and Plague Monks, and we've got the Storm Vermin. For the Empire, it looks like we just have a few units of the Pistolier and Outrider Cavalry, a couple units of the Empire Knights, and Boris. I think he did eventually... No, we do have the handgunners as well. So we'll have to see what happens here. I just think that... I think that the Pistoliers... Oh, they're actually out of ammunition. It's only the Outriders. I was going to say, even if they did have more ammunition, I just don't think they would have had enough to turn all of these numbers. However, the effective charging that BRUMAK is doing here is going to deplete their numbers quite rapidly. Boris over here moving into these clan rats. We have the Helping Abomination moving in as well, challenging him in melee. Empire Knights again getting a huge charge. That has shattered them. They will not be returning to the battlefield. Oh my goodness, and this is so close. And here we go. We've got more Outriders coming in. I think he was going to maybe get a charge in. The Empire Knights charging into the Helping Abomination. We've got some swordsmen over here that have returned, but I'm not sure if this is part of maybe a desync or with an issue with the replays. I'm not 100% sure on that. We'll have to see if they end up moving them or not. But we still have the Grey Seer of Plague here. He is very much alive, moving in against Boris Todbringer. Boris, he's not looking too hot at this point. The Helping Abomination really damaging his morale, and of course, with the enemy general moving closer, he is able to take flight once again to escape the clutches of the Helping Abomination. A lot of wavering going on over here, though. Those Outriders still causing huge amounts of damage. Shattered that unit. This unit may return, the Plague Monks, but it still says it's in favor of GAMLING. And, okay, so yeah, maybe they just didn't notice they had those two. That's not a desync, because they were routed from the battlefield, and it looks like these Storm Vermin are chasing them down. And yeah, I think that army losses are going to kick in here very soon. We've got the Empire Knights that are wavering. We've got the Outriders with grenade launchers, just not enough ammo to do any real damage to that Helping Abomination. If anything, the handgunners are going to be the ones to take it down. That Grey Seer, though, he's not looking too hot. He's looking pretty weakened when fighting against Boris Todbringer there. Here comes the Helping Abomination once again, moving in against the Pistoliers. And it looks like BRUMAK is going to oblige and charge on in. We've got the Empire Knights moving in as well. Oh man, these Outriders with grenade launchers just one by one shattering these units, ensuring that they do not return. Such a close battle here. But Boris, if those handgunners break, he will have to stay on land, because if he doesn't have any land units on the ground, then he is not able to use the Great Eagle's ability to fly away. Oh, the Grey Seer, though, he is just so weakened at this point. He's shaken as well. The handgunners, such a small unit of handgunners, actually making a big difference in this battle. And there we go. The Grey Seer has actually broken. Boris Todbringer is going to take flight once again. The Hellpit Abomination is under fire. We've got some more Outriders with grenade launchers moving in here. However, they have used up their ammunition. Surely those Empire Knights are shattered. They're not... Yes, there we go. They will not return. We've got the Grey Seer over here moving in. He has returned from routing, but the Hellpit Abomination trying to save the General. Still in Gamling's favor at this point. He has Storm Vermin as well, but if his General dies, the Clan Rats surely will break. Surely. Okay, Boris is not looking too hot either now, facing that Hellpit Abomination. However, the Hellpit is also looking quite weakened. Wow, and there we go. Yeah, that has really pushed the favor back into Gamling. Or Gamling's side. 75 men to 31 men. It is so close. Now Boris is moving in against the Storm Vermin, trying to break them from the battlefield. The Hellpit Abomination quickly trying to catch up. And there we go. Yes, it looks like the Storm Vermin are terrified. They're wavering. But there we go. Finally, Boris Todbringer has routed from the battlefield. And that is a Pyrrhic victory for Gamling. So BRUMAK is down by 1, Gamling is up by 1. So let's go ahead and take a look at the next battle. Alright guys, welcome to the second battle between Gamling and BRUMAK. So Gamling is up 1. Unfortunately, if BRUMAK loses this battle, then he is out, and Gamling will move on to the second round. So let's take a look at what Gamling has brought to the battlefield. He's got his forces collected here in the bottom left-hand corner, nowhere near the mound, which is interesting. So maybe he plans to actually flank. He's playing as Bretonia. You can see he has a lot of cavalry in the front lines here. We've got the Green Knight on the battlefield. We have Alberic de Bordelot. For his cavalry, he's got some mounted yeomen in the front here. It looks like, is this 3 units? No, he's got some Grail Knights in the center, some Knights Errant. Then he has the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis and the Knights of the Lion-Hearted. For his infantry, he's got a few units of men-at-arms here with some archers, the Peasant Bowmen. Looks like he has 3 of them, and then he has some spearmen-at-arms behind and a men-at-arms with shields in the center. And that pretty much rounds out his force. Now, looking at BRUMAK, he is playing as the Greenskins, and he's got some Knight Goblins here in the front lines. This is actually a Regiment of Renown, maybe? I'm not 100% sure. He's got the Durusty Arrows as well, which is a Knight Goblin Archer unit. He's got some Orc Arrow Boys to supplement, so 3 units of them. Looks like he's got some Orc Biggins for his mainline infantry. That's 5 units. And for his cavalry, he's got some Goblin Wolf Riders here. And then he has some Orc Boar Boy Biggins on the flanks. And he's also got an Orc Shaman in the middle. And his general is Grimgor Ironhide. So it looks like BRUMAK is intent on pushing for that hill. But we'll have to see what Gamling does here. He could actually flank around and hit the orcs from behind as they do push to the hill, or he could split his forces into 2, divide and conquer. We'll have to watch the battle and find out. Alright guys, welcome to the second battle between Gamling and BRUMAK, and you can see that all of the cavalry is moving around the hill, so it looks like he is going to maybe flank the Greenskins instead of charging head on up the slopes. Now it looks like BRUMAK is still moving towards conquering the hill. He's just now noticed all of the Bretonian cavalry moving around the flanks. Now the Orc Boar Boy cavalry probably should be solid against the cheaper like mounted yeomen here. I don't think they're going to do that much damage, but you can see that BRUMAK here quickly trying to form a front line, and And there is a pretty solid charge there. These Knight Goblins are just going to be destroyed by the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis. That was a huge charge. More cavalry. The Knights Errant slamming into some Knight Goblins and the Orc Boy Biggins. We've even got some more Grail Knights moving around the flanks as well. Unfortunately, yeah, it looks like the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis have broken almost immediately, and the Mounted Yeomen are not too far off. The Knight Goblins actually surviving that charge. That is really hard to believe. They were sandwiched like between two separate units. That is crazy. We also have a unit of the Knights of the Lionhearted over here fighting the Goblin Wolf Riders, but we've got more Goblin Wolf Riders here, possibly to get a flanking charge and surround this very expensive unit of cavalry. And there we go. So that is not good for GAMLING. The Knights of the Lionhearted kind of locked down there. BRUMAK sending his cavalry, his Orc Boar Boy... gosh, that is a tongue twister for me. Orc Boar Boy Biggins. I'm just going to call them Orc Boars. He's sending them very wide on the flank, both of the units, in fact, which is very interesting. You would think he'd want to put them here to kind of mitigate any charges that happen on his infantry, but I guess BRUMAK is confident in the Orc Biggins. They're a very solid unit. You can just see how heavily armored these guys are as they push towards the hilltop. And if these guys get into melee against even the men-at-arms of Bretonnia, the Bretonians will just melt away. They are not known for having very solid infantry. But it looks like, nonetheless, the Bretonians are bravely going to charge on in, first against the Knight Goblins, and then the Orc Biggins are just going to slam on in. And look at the men-at-arms with shields just dropping like flies against these heavily armored orcs. And here we go. It looks like GAMLING is going to charge in against those Orc Boy Biggins. I don't know why he is doing that, though, with all of his cavalry. The Orc Boy Biggins are very solid in melee, and he's kind of monopolized all of his cavalry here, which is really unfortunate. He could have maybe charged 2 cavalry units in and then flanked and maybe got some of these archers instead. So that is very unfortunate. You can see we do have the Knights of the Lionhearted. They have returned from routing, but the Goblin Wolf Riders over here are just wreaking havoc here on the flanks of Bretonnia. Look at this, doing exactly what I thought GAMLING should have done with his cavalry, charging into all of GAMLING's archers with the Goblin Wolf Riders. And we even have some Knight Goblins in behind as well. So let's zoom out and take a quick stock of what's going on. Yeah, you can see the Orc Boars there. They barely took any damage against all of that cavalry in that cavalry charge. We do have some Orc Biggins here that are challenging the Knights Errant. We've got Alberic de Bordelot and the Green Knight engaged there. More Orc Biggins fighting the Mounted Yeomen. The Mounted Yeomen probably going to get destroyed, but look at the Bretonian resistance on the hill, just melted away by the heavily armored orcs. Grimgor Ironhide, I don't even think he's seen battle yet. He's just saving himself for a later date. I mean, Alberic de Bordelot is quite healthy as well, but 1v1, Grimgor Ironhide would destroy Alberic. We do have a second line forming here as the Bretonians try to rally around their lord. But the Knight Goblins are not letting up. They really want to get rid of these archers. The archers are running for their lives, but the Knight Goblins running to take their lives. Terrifying little creatures, these Knight Goblins. But looks like GAMLING's cavalry has been mitigated for the most part, and we have the Orc Boar Boy Biggins here, very much alive. They're fresh and able to run down any Bretonian targets that do try to escape. We have the Grail Knights actually retreating in face of the Goblin Wolf Riders here. Looks like GAMLING maybe did go after the archers, so he did actually hit them eventually, so good job on him taking out those archers while BRUMAK was taking out his. So very even battle, and speaking of even battle, that is a dead even balance of power as we see BRUMAK with his Goblin Wolf Riders charging into the flanks of those Grail Knights. Wow, wow, wow. What do we got going on up here? Okay, so we've actually got Grimgor Ironhide. Wow, Grimgor Ironhide taking a lot of damage here. He's actually wavering. No kidding. Alberic de Bordelot is in here. Is the Green Knight in here as well? Yes, that's probably why. Yeah, we've got the Knights of Lionhearted, Alberic, and the Green Knight, who have actually just destroyed Grimgor Ironhide. Alberic did take a decent amount of damage, but I think the Green Knight was the one who really did most of the damage against Grimgor. I would have maybe followed suit there, though, with Alberic, just made sure that he was shattered and not returning to the battlefield. But yeah, very even battle still. You could see that we've got remnants of Bretonnian troops just trying to gather. Meanwhile, BRUMAK over here just gathering his forces as well. Any units that are not caught behind enemy lines here with the Grail Knights destroying them. Alberic moving in to aid his cavalry. Bretonnian Knights, so beautiful. Well done, well done. But looks like BRUMAK is going to push and take the hill. That's actually a smart decision. Maybe form up on top of the hill. Yeah, looks like Grimgor Ironhide is going to be able to get up that hill as well. So he is not out of this yet, so I don't believe it has any negative morale modifiers for any of his units. Here comes a huge charge from the Orc Boar Boy Biggins. The spearmen are running away way too late. They are not going to escape. I'm surprised that they haven't shattered, though. They're only routing. We've also got the Night Goblins over here chasing around the Peasant Bowmen. And surely the Orc Boar Boy Biggins will destroy these Peasant Bowmen. They're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. GAMLING, unfortunately, trying to get them out of there, but the Night Goblins are able to catch a few of them and bring them down. Over here as well, we've got some Spearmen at Arms kind of being surrounded. We've got the Orc Biggins taking on these Battle Pilgrims here, which I actually didn't see this unit on the battlefield when we took a look at the overview. So my apologies, there was a unit of Battle Pilgrims on the battlefield as well. But still dead even here, 296 to 593. And we do have Alberic de Bordelot moving in to take on Grimgor Ironhide. Yeah, that Green Knight needs to get in there, though, because I think 1v1, yeah, Alberic is starting to take quite a bit of damage. I'm not sure if there is going to be a spell cast down on him as well, but a good charge from the Knights of the Lionhearted there, a good charge from the Grail Knights. Maybe would have brought them around and then charged from this side. That surely would have shattered at least the Night Goblins, maybe the Orc Biggins as well. But Grimgor Ironhide, he is looking fairly weak. He is holding strong, though. Oh, BRUMAK, he needs to keep his general alive, though, because if he loses this battle, he is out. Oh, what do we got going on here? Okay, we've got the Orc Shaman is here. He's kind of casting some spells, seeing if he can break them. Good job to BRUMAK actually getting Grimgor Ironhide out of that engagement. We've also got the Orc Boar by Biggins charging down the slopes to lock all of this cavalry in melee, hopefully routing it from the battlefield. And Alberic de Bordelot is actually stuck in melee as well. Over here, again, those Night Goblins coming back. I think they were chasing after the Peasant Bowmen here. These Peasant Bowmen have returned, but I don't think GAMLING knows that just yet. And now they're all going to swarm around Alberic de Bordelot, which... where's the Green Knight? Green Knight, come back! He's riding over here to save his Peasant Bowman, but no, you need to be over here. Look how much damage Alberic has taken in just a short time. And Grimgor Ironhide back in there, just very carefully dealing blows to Alberic and then quickly retreating. Huge charge there from the Knights of the Lionhearted. Depleted as they are. There we go. Alberic has returned from the battle, or sorry, from routing, but he can't really be used anymore in melee because he's just so weak. It'd be such a risk to kind of charge him in. Over here as well, and any last resistance is being mopped up by these Night Goblins and the Orc Boar Boy Biggins. There is a really good charge from those Biggins. And those peasant bowmen are surely going to be routed from the battlefield. These two units are still there, though. Unfortunately, I think GAMLING doesn't know that. The brave Green Knight, though, taking on the entire greenskin force on the battlefield pretty much single-handedly. That is such a good screenshot of him completely surrounded. Oh, come on, Green Knight, hold! Hold, Green Knight! There's no way he can single-handedly win this. No way. I mean, the Green Knight is powerful, but not this powerful. Okay, and there we go. I think, are those the Knights of the Lionhearted again coming in? Okay, those are some Grail Knights. Unfortunately, they look like they're going to get caught by some more Orc Biggins, though. And we've got the Orc Era Boys firing into their backs. And they were caught by the Boar Biggins, so yeah, that's probably them gone from the battlefield. Where is Alberic, though? He is way over here. Grimgor is somehow still alive, bloodied up as he may be. He is still holding strong. And this brave Green Knight, surrounded by foes. But I think this is going to be 1-1. BRUMAK will take the win here, especially with the General Alberic kind of being out of commission. Where the heck did he go? Oh no, he's back in melee. Oh, he did manage to break. He did manage to break Grimgor Ironhide, but oh, he was killed. Grimgor will probably return to the battlefield. Those Grail Knights need to maybe hit these archers and then quickly... Oh, yes, he has returned to the battlefield. And I think that does seal the fate of GAMLING and his Bretonnian army. Pretty disgusting that it says his unit was losing slightly there. Oh, yes, and the Peasant Bowmen have returned. Look at them volleying up and over top of this hill, raining down on BRUMAK's greenskins. We do have the Orc Boar Boy Biggins. They are moving forwards to try and push them away. Oh, but again, such a close battle between these two. 139 Bretonnians on the battlefield, 350 of the greenskins. I have a feeling that it is going to be a lot less Bretonnians here if those Boar Boy Biggins do actually make it into charge. Trouble is, they're so exhausted at this point. They're moving so slowly. There we go, boys. There we go. Well done. That is shattered. Looks like this unit has been shattered. And, okay, maybe the Orc Boar Boy Biggins will be... Yes, they have routed. We have the Era Boys, though, up on the hilltop to fire down on the Peasant Bowmen. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. The Green Knight has almost perished. I'm sure he has taken down many foes. Grimgor Ironhide cannot even be close to the battle anymore for fear of him shattering for good. But yes, we do have the Night Goblins over here. Oh, he's going to die so soon. Let's actually see his demise on the battlefield. Such a brave knight. A hero of men. He actually did very well, though. Okay, there we go. That was another big charge. Come on, Green Knight. Man, he's just so powerful. And there we go. And that actually is the end of the battle, with the falling of a great hero of Bretonnia. So that means that BRUMAK has 1 win and GAMLING has 1 win. So for the first time in this tournament, we actually have a forced 3rd round. So let's go ahead and see battle number 3. Alright guys, welcome to the third and final battle between GAMLING and BRUMAK. And GAMLING is all over the map, as you can see, playing as the Beastmen, and BRUMAK is here in the center playing as Negorond. So let's go take a look at what GAMLING has brought to the battlefield. He's got three different wings here. So in this first wing, we have the destroyers of the Drakewald. We've got some Bestigor Herd and some Minotaurs. We've got Kazarak the One-Eye, so his general. We also have a Bray Shaman of Beasts and a Gorbel, so a very heavy-hitting flank down here. In the trees, we've got basically Goreherd with shields, just pretty much 6 or 7 units of them, just all hidden. Maybe once all of BRUMAK's forces are engaged fighting these heavier entities, he will move in and flank. He's also got 2 units of Chaos Warhounds in behind BRUMAK's forces as well. Taking a look at what BRUMAK has brought, he's got 4 units of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, and they have Vanguard deployments, so they are already on top of the hill. So it's a good thing that GAMLING isn't lined up ready to move in, because those repeater crossbowmen will be firing pretty much from the beginning of the battle. The rest of his forces consist of 4 units of Dread Spears in the front lines. We've also got 2 units of Witch Elves. We've got Malekith on his dragon. And then right in behind, we've got 3 units of Cold One Knights. So a small but very elite force for BRUMAK. And I'd say a pretty elite force over here, but more numbers, I would say, on GAMLING's side. So let's go ahead and see who prevails. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see, those repeater crossbowmen are immediately firing on the Bestigor Herd. So this is his best infantry unit, so it's really unfortunate for GAMLING that it's being picked apart. However, it looks like BRUMAK does not notice the Minotaurs moving in here to attack those repeater crossbowmen, but surprisingly, they only killed 4 or 5 of them, so I think he definitely got out of there pretty much unscathed. However, the Bestigor Herd cannot have the same thing said about them. You can see that they just have bodies littered as they approach the hilltop. And we've also got Malekith moving up here with his Black Dragon, just as the destroyers of the Drakewald crest this hilltop. The Gorbel should be able to hit pretty hard when fighting against Malekith, but if these repeater crossbows continue to focus down his elite units, GAMLING is going to be in a pretty tough position from the get-go. Now, it looks like we already have the Goreherd with shields moving in. We do have the Chaos Warhounds activated, but I think for GAMLING that is way too soon. The Cold One Knights would definitely destroy this Chaos Warhounds, so that is unfortunate that he used them to charge the Cold One Knights. In fact, only this one lost 1, and this one didn't even lose a single unit. And over here, the repeater crossbows. Look at the repeater crossbowmen, how much damage they have done. Okay, but we do have the Pharaoh Manticore actually casting some spells, I believe, down on these repeater crossbows. However, the damage is definitely in BRUMAK's favor at this point. You can see the Minotaurs are weakened, the Bestigor Herd is weakened, we've got the Ungor Spear Herd weakened, and we're finally getting all of these units moving in, but I think BRUMAK is well aware of them. The Chaos Warhounds again moving in, but it's just, that's way too soon, unfortunately. They just did not really pay for themselves in that engagement. What the heck do we have over here? Oh, the Pharaoh Manticore is actually moved in. That is not very good. It's going to get destroyed by these Dark Riders repeater crossbowmen, especially locked in melee with Malekith. Over here as well, GAMLING not noticing the Bray Shaman over here being focused down by those repeater crossbows as well. And BRUMAK, he has his line kind of formed. I think he is going to get his Dark Riders with repeater crossbows out of the way, which is good. Now, these Dread Spears are not going to be able to hold against this overwhelming charge. They will try for a time, but I think the Beastmen are going to be able to overwhelm this flank eventually. And there we go, charging down the flanks of BRUMAK's forces. He was able to reposition his units with ample time to spare. Malekith also catching Kazarak the One-Eye and destroying him. Also, the repeater crossbows right there. Going to be killing Kazarak so quickly in this battle. Only 3 minutes in, and Kazrak the One-Eye is routing for, well, he's wavering. But those repeater crossbows doing so much damage to him, and there we go, he has broken. And I bet you that repeater crossbow unit is going to assassinate him. They will not let him leave this battlefield alive. The Bray Shaman also following suit. The Gorbel is chasing after Malekith, though. Look how damaged Malekith is. Thankfully, he was just able to escape the wrath of that Gorbel. The repeater crossbows need to pull away, though, because the Bestigor herd is now challenging them in melee. The Spears and the Witch Elves desperately trying to hold here. I think this is the time where he needs to activate his Cold One Knights, kind of bring them around the flank. A huge breath there from BRUMAK with Malekith, completely destroying the Gore herd there, and the destroyers of the Drakvald. My goodness, and did they assassinate? No, they actually didn't assassinate Kazrak. Very interesting. I would have thought they would have just chased him down. But things are not looking good for GAMLING at this point in time. We've got 394 and dropping very quickly. Bounce of Power is starting to be quite heavily out of favor. A huge spell cast down on the remainder of the Gore Herd with shields, which is still fighting. And look at this Black Dragon, literally just went all the way down the flanks and annihilated these units one by one. And I will eat my words on that. The Dread Spears, with the help of Malekith, did actually hold all of that Gore Herd with shields. Now, they will actually return from routing, but this is where the Cold One Knights are going to come in very big handy, running them down and ensuring that they do not return from routing, making sure that they stay shattered. And here's Kazrak. He's actually right behind here. I think GAMLING might not have noticed him. There, oh, there we go. He's going to charge him into the backs of the repeater crossbows. No, he's not. He's going to die. And with that immediate death is the death of the Beastman, and also the death of GAMLING in this campaign. Very, very unfortunate, but BRUMAK actually coming back, being down by 1, and coming back to win 2 in a row. So well done to BRUMAK, and GAMLING, thank you so much for participating. It's very much appreciated. But that rounds it out for today's battles, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.